want to let everybody know that's coming on the call that towards the end of the call, we have a lot of good announcements that are happening now to do with how we're paying everybody out and what's happening towards the end of the week. So everybody stay tuned right now because we do have some good information we want to share with everyone. So real quickly, this is the opportunity meeting for Monday night, and we really want to kind of talk about the privacy that's under attack. That's really one of the main reasons that we are here right now. You just can't turn on a TV, you can't go onto your computer and look at an internet news site and not see that there is some story happening right now about how your privacy is really coming under threat, whether it be on your cell phone or anything else. Well, that being said, there was a motion, an action, an effort, however you want to phrase it, this last year by the Senate to go ahead and try to put forth a bill to try to keep the NSA and other government agencies from really kind of overstepping their bounds. Well, it didn't take long for that bill to get overhauled and die in the Senate. And essentially, what we're learning right now is that the government wants what they want, and your privacy is just really under attack. Well, you've got to realize that the tools that are being used right now are also being used to hack other telecoms, and these stories are coming out. Again, as I kind of go through these stories right now, you're going to see that this is nothing that you haven't seen. It's just, we're kind of bringing it back to the forefront for you to kind of take a look at it right now. Well, there's also a story that came out that said that the U.S. has really become a worse police state than Orwell could have imagined. Well, that being said, if you remember the protesters here a few months ago, and they're not gone by any means of the imagination. They're still out there and they're still actively organizing. You're just not seeing it on the media. But at the time that it was just really visible online, the Chicago Police Department was using a technology called Stingray to intercept the protesters' conversations, not only listen in, but gather the data off their phone. And what really made this kind of interesting was there's a group out there called Anonymous. And Anonymous actually hacked into the Chicago Communications Department for the police and recorded their conversation interaction with the people out there in the field of targeting various organizers in the protesting group and what they were saying. And they actually put that on YouTube. What really makes the story funny is that right about that time, Illinois, the state that Chicago was in, made it a felony for the citizens to record the police as they were conducting their duties. Can you imagine that? If you think the police are doing something wrong and you take out your phone and you record them, because every phone now pretty much has that ability on it, it's now a felony. So they want to listen into you. They want to get all your data off the phone, but they don't want you to record them. Right about the same time, Congress passed a bill which grants unlimited access to communication of every American. Are you noticing a theme here? The theme is basically you're at the right place at the right time, because what we're doing is we're providing a technology to kind of protect against this. Let me keep going. Last but not least, Stingray devices. Who have? Well, here's a map that the ACLU has put out that's showing it's not just the federal agencies, guys. It's also the state, local, county agencies that are using them, not for terrorist activity, because they also want to get engaged in this. And keep in mind, a lot of stuff that these local agencies are doing, they're getting the money for this from federal grants. Kind of seems like a concerted effort here. And of course, the NSA has now put out a story, or should I say someone has done a story about the NSA saying that any form of encryption will cause problems in their data gathering. You think? Well, if you remember FISA was the secret court that they came up with after 9/11, and then the FBI, CIA, NSA would go there and say, we have a concern. Well, the FBI, they've learned that not everything they take to the FISA court gets approved. Well, they figured out a workaround. They just issue what's called a national security letter. They get to do whatever they want. Again, you kind of see a theme here. Well, it is now February 2nd, 2015. And if you look at the date of the story, January 12, 2015, not even 1 month ago, the FBI says it doesn't need a warrant to track your cell phone in public. Well, folks, I can't tell you, but this is getting a little crazy here. And this is why you're in the right place at the right time. This is basically being done by a technology called Stingray. And we have somebody on the phone right now, our CEO and president of QxStart right now, John Fromey. John, are you there right now? Because I know you understand a lot about Stingray, and you'd like to expand on this a little bit.
Yeah, can you guys hear me all right?
Yes, go ahead, John.
Yeah, so what Stingray is a device about the size of a laptop or even a small kind of briefcase. And what it does is it just mimics a cell phone tower to where every time that you send out a phone call or your phone connects to it, your cell phone will work perfectly fine. And you'll believe that you're having a phone conversation with your mother, your daughter, your dad, or your brother, but you're actually being listened to by local police departments. And now they're actually taking the technology to the next level, and they're taking Stingray and putting them in Cessna planes, helicopters, whatnot, and they're flying them over towns and cities, and they're just pulling people's information left and right. And this is something that there's cases in Orlando and in Tucson and Oakland where people, and a brand new one actually just came out in San Diego, where people, citizens are saying, you know what, I don't want the local police departments listening to my conversation. So thank you, Robert, for doing such a great job so far, and that was just kind of touching a little bit more on Stingray and how important it is.
I appreciate that, John, but isn't San Diego currently being sued by a privacy right group right now because
that's what yeah, that's what I'm saying. But San Diego, they're actually being sued because people are standing up and saying, this isn't right. This is not what local police departments should be doing, driving around listening into my private conversations.
Oh, yeah, no. And if you look at the diagram here, you know, they're showing like it's a small area, but, you know, the bottom line is that when it simulates a cell tower, it's going out several miles. I don't know how they can, with a straight face, say we're only getting it in public areas, because, you know, show me a public area that stretches out several miles without some private areas in it, right?
Right.
So anyway, John, thank you very much. Well, anyway, we've talked about the problem, and I think we all know there's a problem out there, but, you know, the great thing about it is if you have a solution and you know the problem out there, then the best thing to do is position yourself in a way that you can benefit from it. Well, we have Kryptos Communication, and the visionary developer, the person that actually came up with this whole idea is on the phone with us right now. That's Stephen Carnes. And Steve, are you here right now? So
I am. Thank you, Robert.
Great.
When I developed the product back in 2010, I never envisioned the state we would be in today with all the revelations post-Edward Snowden that we now know about our own government agencies listening in on private citizens. When I developed it, it was originally developed for business people, other people who had privacy concerns without ever having the forethought of the big intrusion of privacy that we've just witnessed so far in this webinar. Kryptos is a voice over IP product, also known as VoIP. What we do is we digitize the voice stream and we encrypt it before it leaves your handset. We set up a peer-to-peer connection between the person that's calling and the person that's receiving the call, and none of the conversation goes across our servers. It's actually just like a direct link, almost like a string between the two. I like to think of it as like two tin cans in a string almost. The encryption we use is 256-bit AES encryption. So what does that mean? Of course, we refer to that as military grade quite often, and that's because that's exactly what the military uses. They use 256-bit AES encryption. The NSA themselves classifies this type of encryption is suitable for use up to top secret communications, which is the top there is. They know it can't be broken, which is why they have their own officials within the government, the military, using it, and that's exactly why we are using the product. We did not ever create any backdoors into the product. We don't even keep log files. If you are connecting a call with another caller, we don't know who you're talking to, and hence, if we ever get served with any sort of paperwork that would say, hey, we need to know who's talking to who, we can legitimately say, we don't keep those files, so I can't offer it to you. We even go so far as we don't even keep the contacts that you set up within your phone within Kryptos on our servers. It is only on your handset. We don't ask to have access to your contacts within your phone, within the normal part of your phone, because I consider that to be a privacy issue. We don't need to have access to that, which is why we have our own contact list. It does have a call history right on your handset, which you can clear at any time, as well as if you wanted to, you could remove the app at any time and re-download it at any time. So if you didn't want anybody to know that you had Kryptos on your phone on a regular basis, just download it for free from the App Store anytime you want to use it, put in your username and password, and you're good to go again.
Hey, Steve, let me ask you a quick question.
Yes.
There's been a few people who said, how do we know it works? And I just put another screen on there because doesn't the government kind of prohibit us from selling this and distributing it in other places?
Yes, they did. I mean, we had to apply with our product through the Commerce Department, which is who actually controls the export of encrypted products. And since ours is an encrypted product, we had to go through the rigorous process of getting approved. I actually have to make a report yearly to the government that we're distributing, continuing to distribute the product. And you're correct, we can't ship to Cuba, Iran, Sudan, North Korea, or Syria. I've heard a few people say, well, with the trade restrictions changing in Cuba, we'll be able to sell there sometime soon. Honestly, I don't believe so. The trade restrictions have to do more with tourism and some light trade. I don't see them allowing that to be Kryptos to be sold anytime in the near future to Cuba as well. We do have numerous reviews out there on the internet, and I think, Robert, at some point we're actually going to get some of those posted up on the QxStart Help website, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, there's a whole bunch that got sent over to us, and I know that we're probably getting those up probably through the evening, but there's just a tremendous amount of reviews that are happening right now. And, you know, the crazy thing, Steve, is that people that try it out, in fact, the other day I had somebody that called me up and was putting his information in there into QxStart. And it was really funny because he said, well, I'm giving you my credit card information. Maybe we should get on Kryptos. And we both got Kryptos. And it was funny. He said, well, this is the way I should give you my credit card information. And I kind of laughed. I said, you know, you're right. It is. And we were on Kryptos doing it. And it was very comical, but that's what we were doing.
And I actually see this as, right. I actually see this as something in the future. I'd like to have it where corporations would adopt it on a mass scale, so that users of Kryptos could call in, and let's say you're wanting to make an airline reservation, be able to call in on like American Airlines and make your reservation and give your credit card number over Kryptos rather than your regular phone line. Because you're right. I mean, it's nothing for your average teenage computer whiz to not even a whiz, but there's tutorials on YouTube how you can take a laptop, some equipment, create your own, almost like Stingray device, a fake tower that consumes all of the transmissions that are out there.
Sure.
So.
Hey, Steve, let me ask you one other question, because again, these are questions that I get all the time, and I'm glad I've got you on here right now so I can cover that. But a lot of people have said, look, we know that telecoms, equipment, hardware manufacturers, or anything else, they're provided by law. They have to provide a back door to the government agencies. Why is it that Kryptos doesn't have to do that?
Sure, and that has to do with the law. It's the Communications Assistance for Law Enforcement Act, which is CALEA, is the way that they use the acronym. Under CALEA, they require that any manufacturer of hardware or any telecommunications carrier, so whether or not you're producing a network switch, whether or not you're producing the actual handset, the cell phone itself, or you're a carrier like AT&T, Sprint, Verizon, they have to provide a back door. They even go so far as to say if you are a substantial replacement for a telecommunications carrier, which they define as if you can make a call to a landline or a cell phone, basically to a phone number, and get the call to go through, you're a substantial replacement. Well, guess what? Skype is a substantial replacement, which is why it's widely known that they had to provide a backdoor as well. Also, given the fact that Microsoft seems to have opened their whole back door of the company to the government, and Skype is owned by Microsoft, that's another story. Anyways, Kryptos, when we did ours, when we set out to do this, actually hired a law firm out of DC so that we would make sure that we were complying in all capacities with all the laws and everything in what we do. And we actually designed the product to not call a landline. We don't even use phone numbers as part of our overall means of making the connections. We use usernames, and that's for a specific reason. We are nothing more, shouldn't say nothing more than, we are a third-party software manufacturer that a user can choose to download and put on their device, and it doesn't even have to be on a phone. It can actually be on an iPad. It could be on an iPod Touch. It could also be on any of the Android devices. You don't even have to have a connection to 3G, 4G service. So you can have a cell phone that no longer is connected to a carrier like AT&T or Sprint. As long as you have connection to Wi-Fi, you can use our product. So that's the reason. I've actually been in meetings with some government officials because there's some agencies that in certain capacities do have our product not only to use but also as a backup means of secure communications, and they're aware of it. The question has come up before to a chairperson and said, "Why is this? How is this product even legal?" And the chairperson basically repeated what I did, because we're not part of the phone system. We are a software that sits on top of a mobile device or a tablet.
Cool.
So thank you, Robert, for allowing me to explain that.
Yeah. No, thank you very much, and for covering that. Well, guys, what Steve had kind of alluded to something earlier, and if you're a part of Kryptos, and most of you guys are, and I'm sure some of the people here are listening for the first time, there's a spot on QxStart. There's a spot on QxStart that is a help site that allows you to get some of the information that we're talking about, the PowerPoints that we're using right now, the stories that we're talking about, PDFs, or anything else. And if you look at that gold bar right there on the QxStart site that says QxStart support site, and I'm going to blow it up for you right now, you can actually go to that spot right there and click on more. And what it's going to do, it's going to take you right over to this site right here. Now, when you get there, you're going to probably notice that we have additional things there, because we've noticed with the input of people out there in the field that we needed to kind of spread things out and make it a little easier to flow to. But we have the meetings tab, we have the top 10, which means the top 10 people of that week, top earners. We have graphics there, videos, PowerPoint files, and so forth. And of course, when you go there, you're going to see team videos, and you're going to see the different teams that are now starting to build, putting their own content there. Well, now that we've talked about the problem, we've talked about the solution, let's talk a little bit about the money that you can make by helping us spread the word about Kryptos communication around the world. QxStart has partnered with Kryptos Communication to do just that, and it has put together a program that basically allows you to earn some serious money, residual, and early on in the program. It starts with a 3-pack, 6-pack, or 10-pack. Let me define what that means. A 3-pack is simply 3 Kryptos codes that are good for a month. And a 10-pack is the same thing. It's 10 codes that are good for a month. Well, you might ask yourself, why do I need that many codes? Well, quite simply, you cannot talk to anybody unless they're on Kryptos. So you may want to set up a few separate accounts. You may want to hand some codes out to some friends or family or business associates so that you can communicate at will on this. But this allows you to get other people in the game here. So now, getting involved with QxStart, you can actually do this as a full or part-time. But here's one of the key things, and I want to kind of point this out really quickly. There are several bonus levels here. But the meat of this is really 2 things. It's weekly pay and monthly pay. And let me explain what I mean by that. First thing, when you sign up somebody brand new into the QxStart program, and they sign up as a gold, which means that they're buying 10 codes, and they're committing to buy 10 codes each month on an auto ship, and they're paying their yearly $49 fee, which is a total of $149 for 10 codes and a yearly fee, you're going to receive $50 the very next week for that sign-up. Sign up 10, you're going to get $500. Sign up 20, you're going to get $1,000. It's really pretty good money. It happens very fast. Well, let's kind of look at this, the second part. Because remember we talked about weekly, and then now we're talking about monthly. This is a 2x3 force matrix, but this has a twist to it. It has 6 bonus levels. And those 6 bonus levels basically allow you to earn all the way down to a max number of 4.1 million people. And quite frankly, what that means is that you can make some serious money. But a lot of people on the calls have said, I don't really understand what a force matrix is. Well, let me explain with this diagram. Let's assume that you're at the top, and this is really what a 2x3 looks like. And everybody flows in. In other words, you get 2 people in, and they get 2 people in, and so forth, and it all works great. Well, reality is it does not work quite like that. Sometimes what happens is you get 1 person in, and that person starts building, and you have a whole other side that just kind of sits dormant until you do something. Can the person on the left side fill in the right side? No, only you can do that because it's the person above that does that. If somebody was above you and they started signing up people, they would go in the next logical spot and it could get filled up. So if your sponsor started putting people in, it could flow down through there because it's a force matrix. And you could earn off that side as well could they, okay? The second thing is, same kind of example. Everything's working great. Goes down there a little bit further, but you have kind of a hole. This really gives people an opportunity to reach out to people in that line and say, what can I do to help you? Because the beauty of a force matrix is if you can keep pushing people down, you keep making money through that line. And, of course, the little gray areas are the people that get in and they go, okay, I'm going to get in, but I'm going to do nothing, and I'm going to sit here for a while. Well, if you can kind of explain to people, say, hey, I understand you got a spot there, but here's a way that I think we can all make some serious money. You can kind of get that area going. Well, let's look at this in a bigger picture. If you look at this and you look at that whole big picture, you go, gee, there's a lot of folks there right now. Well, if you look right there in that little area blowing up, it's the same thing. It's like you're kind of fitting into this big matrix because, see, everybody starts their own matrix. And it's the same kind of situation right there, depending on what you want to do. Well, we're going to talk about the compensation program real quick. Remember we talked about 6 matching levels and different ways to get in because there was a 30, 60, and 100. Well, let's take this a step further. For everybody that's brand new on the call, do you realize that once you get 6 people in, you no longer pay for your monthly auto ship? That's right, it's free. So let's take a minute and let's look over at D. 6 sponsored, level 12 where you could qualify down to, you could be earning $32,000 per month as your matrix starts to fill out. Again, that's a potential. Not everybody's going to get there, but that just means all you need to do is get 6 people and teach the same thing. Well, what if you went ahead in the first 30 days and instead of getting 6, you got 10? What would that do for you? Well, what it would simply do is it would mean instead of making $4 on anybody that's gold in your matrix, you could make $5. You can see how the numbers change dramatically. But what if you kept working and in the second 30 days you got another 10 people that went gold? Again, this is not very hard to do. But if you did that, what happens is instead of getting $4, it's $6 per person. You see how exciting that starts to get. This is what the power of this program is. But I want to kind of let you in on another secret here. Whenever you bring somebody in personally and they're getting gold, you get 10% of that sale on the recurring billing. So if it's a $100 sale on the recurring, you're getting $10. But if they're in your matrix, depending on which level you're at, you're also getting that matrix money too. So let's just take the $6 rate, for example. You brought in 40 people. You did it all within, you got the first 20 in the first 60 days, and then you brought in another 20 people, so you had 40 people. So those 40 people were going to earn you $10 per person, so that's, what, $400 plus the $6 per person. And that's not a real tough thing to do. Plus, everybody that's in your matrix is $6. So it gets very, very interesting. It's like an extra $10 bonus there. So now let me talk about a couple more things here real fast. In your back end, a lot of people said, how do I see the people that are in my force matrix? Well, if you look over on the left-hand side, you're going to see a menu system there, and that menu system is going to show genealogy. Click on that, and that is how you're going to see your people there. It's growing every day. It's getting bigger and bigger and bigger, so do take a look at that. One other thing I want to let you know is a lot of folks have said, how do I get somebody signed up? Well, it's really pretty simple. I'm going to use Dane Kohler as an example. Dane has a website address. It's dane.qxstart.com. So he would type that into the URL. He would then go to the sign-up link, which would be the Join Now. He would click on the Join Now, and at that point in time, he would see the page. And if you look at the URL right there where it says dane.qxstart.com, he would go ahead and he would click on that and highlight it. Once he highlights it, all he needs to do is just hold down the Control key, tap the C key, and that'll copy it. Next thing you might want to do is open up an email client, type in a message that he wants to say, hey, I need you to go here and sign up because this is going to be a real exciting thing for you, or whatever he wants to say. And then he'll paste it in there by holding down the Control key and tapping the V key for paste. Very, very simple. When he does that, it's going to take the person exactly to this page. Now, if it's yours, it's going to have your name on it, but Dane's just happen to have his name on it. Why do you want to do that? It takes all the confusion out of it. They get right there, they put their information in, they get signed up, period. Very, very simple. So you might want to consider that. Let's talk about something else too. This week, we are now starting to pay everybody out by ProPay. If you have not gotten a message from ProPay, you should probably get one by tomorrow. It's very important that if you have monies coming to you, and just about everybody on this call, if not people not on this call, do have monies coming to them because we're having one of our largest payouts this week right now, you're going to want to sign up for ProPay. And ProPay is going to send you a debit MasterCard. It can be used anywhere, including international. But here's the best part. To move it to your bank account, because we were using PayPal, PayPal charged 2.5%. So if you had $1,000, let's just use $10,000 you were trying to move, PayPal would charge you $250. ProPay charges you 30 cents. Regardless of the amount, it's 30 cents. So we started seeing that a lot of the people that were part of this program were really going to be taken advantage of by PayPal. So we've been able to shift gears and get it over to ProPay. We're starting that this week. So those payments are actually going to go out. We've been paying everybody by Tuesday or Wednesday. It's actually going to go out on Friday this week because we need to make sure we've got everybody's account set up and get everything in there. And then I think every week past then we're going to try to make it on Thursday. So this will be the only week it's going to happen on Friday. But there's a lot of money to go out. So when you see the link, make sure you get in there, get signed up, get your account active. You don't have to have your card in the mail. You just need to have your account active, and then you can transfer it to your bank account. So folks, that's pretty much it right now. Let me do this. Steve, did you have anything you want to add? And John, did you have anything you wanted to add by chance?
No, you did a wonderful job, Robert. Thank you.
Great. Well then,
job, Robert. Thank you.
All right. Well, guys, we want to thank you for coming on the call tonight. And I know that Dane had a texting program call earlier on. I can tell you he's having some great results, and we've got some other folks too. David Sorrells is doing some big things out there, and we've got some other folks that are doing as well. This week, I think we're going to be down in Fort Lauderdale working with some other people. So, guys, I want to thank you for coming on the call. We're going to go ahead and stop the recording.